course, my mother being the top tennis player in the country, her father having played for India, there was a lot of inspiration. And I think that set the tone for the future. I think one big achievement was when I was at the University of Minnesota winning the NCAA national title. Very few Indians have won that tournament. It's I think just Somdev and me, I think in singles. And you're competing against the best players in the world. So to win a national title in the US in tennis, that was a big achievement, I would say.
One match of your career whose result you wish to change?
Andy Roddick. Yeah, my word of advice is, along with working hard,
Hi friends, welcome back to Prakhar Talks Sports. It is the first episode of 2026. I wish you all a very happy new year. For this episode of Prakhar Talks Sports, I am here at Bandra's Wings Sports Center, and in this episode of Prakhar Talks Sports, I'll be talking on tennis. And to talk on tennis, I have someone with me who has represented India at the Grand Slams. He has also been an integral part of India's Davis Cup team. I am honored to have Mr. Harsh Mankad on Prakhar Talks Sports. Hi, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Prakhar Talks Sports. And before I get talking to Mr. Harsh Mankad, if the surname Mankad is ringing a bell in your head, if it is suggesting you something, then what your thoughts are in right direction. Mr. Harsh Mankad is the grandson of legendary Indian cricketer Vinoo Mankad. So, and I will be talking to Mr. Harsh Mankad on tennis. I will be also exploring a bit of cricket, but this podcast is mostly going to be on tennis, the evolution of tennis, how the tennis have grown in India in past few years, and also we will be knowing more about Harsh Mankad's life. So hi sir, welcome to Prakhar Talk Sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would want to kick off this interview by asking your grandfather Vinoo Mankad played cricket for India. Your father Ashok Mankad, he also represented India in Test cricket. Your maternal grandfather, he was also a tennis player. Your mother represented India in tennis. So coming from a family that was so involved in sports always. So how did the growing up in such environment shape your childhood?
Yeah, absolutely. So much inspiration, right from the early days. The stories you hear, right, from my father talking about his father, Vinoo Mankad, and how fondly he remembered him and how much respect he had for him as a father, but also as a cricketer, having seen his father so up close. So those were the inspirational stories that I heard growing up. And of course, my mother being the top tennis player in the country, her father having played for India, there was a lot of inspiration. And I think that set the tone for the future.
Okay. So cricket, I understand from your father's side, from your grandfather's side, there was always cricket, but from your mother's side, there was tennis. So cricket and tennis, when did you finally decide? But you pursued a career in tennis. So when did you finally decide that tennis is going to be a career?
Actually, when I was young, I was very fond of cricket.
Okay.
Very passionate about cricket. And, wanted to be a cricket player.
Okay.
And I remember when I was, I think 9, my parents asked me, do you want to play cricket or tennis? And I said, well, I want to play cricket, But for whatever reasons, my mother was coaching tennis. She had a program. My father felt it would be a good sport for me to pursue. So I sort of went into tennis. I enjoyed tennis. I liked the fact that in tennis, when you're playing, you're active for the whole time. So that's what I really enjoyed about the sport.
So did you play cricket till at certain age? Did you pursue cricket?
Yeah, I played with friends, for fun in the building and nothing structured, but I was playing for fun and I played till about 14, 15. I always kept playing. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think I played for my school as well a little bit. Our school wasn't too much into cricket, but I remember playing for them. And so I kept up with it. I loved the sport and kept playing as much as I could.
Okay. So did the surname Mankad weigh heavy on your shoulders? Because we revere your grandfather here in India. Cricket is one of the most followed sport, and whenever we talk about Vinoo Mankad, we remember his contribution to Indian cricket with lot of awe. So was there ever a pressure to match his level of success, although in different sport? Was there that added pressure?
Not really, never, no pressure. My father would always be very motivational. My father was a captain of Mumbai cricket. So he was very good at motivating people.
Okay.
So he would always use it in a way that was inspirational, that was motivational, that gave you strength to lift you up. So I felt like the name, all the achievements of my parents, grandparents was just wonderful, and I felt like, okay, this is something I can do.
Okay. So talking now, I would want to dig deep into your professional career in tennis. Your achievements are so much that it would take a whole lot of time. It will require a separate podcast just to document your career. But I have just jotted down 3 questions. So who was the toughest opponent you have played against? I read in your Wikipedia profile you have played matches against some of top tennis players back in the 80s, Leighton Hewitt, Andy Roddick. So they themselves have been very high achieving tennis players. So who was the toughest opponent that you played against?
If I had to pick one, I would say Andy Roddick. I played him when India played the US in Davis Cup. I played Andy Roddick and I just felt like his serve was so huge. We played indoors on a fast court. It was very difficult to return his serve. At the time you're serving well into the 130s, 140 mile an hour. So returning that type of serve was the first time I'd seen that kind of pace. And then, of course, the athletic ability to back up the serve, and so that was a very difficult and tough match. But a great opportunity too, to play someone of that level and then to learn from that experience.
An achievement that you are very proud of. I'm talking about your playing days in tennis. So something that you really wanted to achieve and you achieved it, and you feel really happy still recalling that achievement.
I think one big achievement was when I was at the University of Minnesota winning the NCAA national title. Very few Indians have won that tournament. It's I think just Somdev and me, I think in singles. And you're competing against the best players in the world. So to win a national title in the US in tennis, that was a big achievement, I would say, yeah. And thanks to my team and the coaches that I had there at Minnesota, I felt like they were very motivating, helped me a lot to improve. They believed a lot in my talent. And I think that environment brought out the best in me.
Obviously, sports comes with its own fair share of regrets. So any regret that you have from your playing days?
No regrets. You have to face whatever comes your way. And I feel like I gave my best effort. I gave everything I can. No stone left unturned. It's a very difficult journey in the international tennis coming from India. Because in India, we don't have such a strong system for tennis. So you're very much on your own. And tennis isn't an international sport. It's a very expensive sport too. So there's a lot that you and your family and the people around you, have to do. So I think I did everything I could. And so, I learned what I can. Did everything turn out the way I wanted to? No, but that's sports and that's life. Many things happened that were great. And certain things, I wish I could have done more.
Yeah.
But that's sports teaches you to accept all of that,
Yeah.
and I think it prepares you for life also, because that's what we face every day in our life.
We will dig deep into tennis later in the podcast. But moving on, I learned that you moved to the USA very early in your life. So, how did uh, living in US shape you as a professional athlete?
Yeah. So I moved to America after 12th standard.
Mhm.
I went to college tennis there. The reason I also went to America is, again, in the tennis system in India, after juniors, I didn't see a pathway to progressing further. So that's why I went to the US. And it was great. I had a great opportunity to continue with tennis at a high level and build my career.
Mhm.
I think one of the things I learned from being in America is that I think professionalism with which we approach sports, the environment, there's a lot of focus, a lot of dedication, a lot of passion. I think just that work ethic on a daily basis, how hard people work, how committed they are, everyone's striving to be the best. I think those are the qualities that are so part of the culture that have been very positive for me.
Okay, so you kind of answered my next question, but having lived in USA and having also spent your childhood here in India, so you have seen grassroots tennis in US and also in India. So could you highlight what are the key differences in both the countries, how tennis is approached?
Um, I think one of the advantages I have is I've seen tennis internationally. Now, of course, I live in the US, so I see it every day there, the system. Plus, I know very well what the system is in India, right? Having grown up here, gone through junior tennis, so I can relate those two aspects. I think one difference is in the US when we approach grassroots tennis, we have a focus on growing the game, participation growth. So at that stage, we're not looking at developing champions. That comes later. And I think that's an important point. Is first step is you want to promote the game. You want to make the game accessible. So one of the things we've done is where I live in Minneapolis is we have a lot of programs through city parks and schools. That's where the children get involved. And that's what we have to also think about in India. How do we make tennis accessible? Right? So that you don't need a country club membership to play tennis. But how can you provide it in the public, in the schools, more accessible to the public, more affordable? Those are the things I think are the first step when you think about grassroots. So the more India and in India we can get the masses involved, I think that's the key aspect. And then from there, then you develop those who have an interest, those who want to compete, those who have a desire to achieve something in the game. Then for them, there's a pathway of development. They go through the different stages. So I think having those two pathways, one is promotion and growth of participation, and second is the development of players. Those two pathways have to be developed in parallel.
Quite interesting points highlighted in how sport is perceived in India, how sport is practiced in India, how sport is developed in India, and how sport is seen in the US. Okay, so you recently put out a video on your social media handles on YouTube, on your own YouTube channel as well, where you highlighted the strengths of Indian tennis system. You talked a lot that helped you to grow. So could you, for my audience, highlight what were the points that you covered in that video and what were the things that worked in your favor?
Yeah. One key point I felt like in India is the fundamentals were taught well. Most of the Indian players had good fundamental technique, and that creates a solid foundation for higher levels of tennis. The other aspect I felt being India's diversity, from region to region, as you start traveling and playing tournaments, region to region is very different. So you become adaptable. When you travel to the south of the country, you have to get used to that culture, those conditions. So it makes you very flexible and adaptable, which is a good quality to have. The other aspect I highlighted was the different surfaces in tennis. India has all the different surfaces, hard courts, clay courts, grass courts. So really taking the opportunity to play on these different surfaces and to build your skills on these different surfaces, which becomes very helpful again at higher levels of the game when the professional tour too moves from surface to surface. Having grown up here, you have that familiarity with playing on grass or playing on clay and being ready to perform on those aspects. So those were some of the key points that I felt were strengths of the Indian tennis system.
You also, in that video, you also mentioned a point about the media coverage
Yeah.
of tennis, that like when you felt that when you were playing tennis, and even a generation before you, the tennis was covered in a much better way. And being a student of media myself, I think the current generation, which consumes a lot of content online or through television, I don't see a lot of tennis coverage in popular mass media in India, here in India. So is that a fact? Is that a factor that is hampering the growth of tennis in India?
Yeah, I feel like in any region or country, promoting the game is very important, right? You've got to promote the game, make sure that there's good coverage. I think you've got to get people interested in the game. So get that participation going that we talked about, get people playing, get people experiencing the game, and then they become fans of the game. And I think as more Indian players come through the system and start playing at a higher level, automatically there'll be some more fan following as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's one area that in tennis is hurting in India, is that you don't see at the highest level enough tennis players, right? Like in singles, you don't see anybody in the top 100 or playing Grand Slams.
Yeah.
So whereas in cricket, we are, amongst the best in the world. So there is that following.
Yeah.
So I think all of those things, grassroots, development pathways, accessibility to the sport, more involvement in the sport, promotion of the sport, and then getting players playing at the higher levels. All of those things can help get more interest and then media coverage for the game.
So to summarize your answer, can I say that a media plays a big role in promoting a sport in a country? Can I say with some degree of confidence that yes, there has to be some good, decent level of coverage of a sport that helps the promotion and the growth of sport eventually?
Yeah, but they're kind of related, right? As a sport becomes more popular, as people play more, as people follow it more, then automatically there's more media. So it's sort of related. And if media coverage isn't that high, there's a reason for it, right? So
yeah. So you wear many hats. You have been a former tennis player. You are a coach in some capacity, but you're also a business personality. You are an entrepreneur, and you are a co-founder or a founder of Tennicity. What is that initiative, and how is that helping the growth of tennis?
Yeah, I started my own tennis program. So Tennicity is our tennis program. It's based in the US. Now we've just done a camp in India as well. Before COVID, I did several camps in India. So we've been doing camps in India. I'm always looking to give back. Come here, spend some time, work with the juniors, even the professional players, share my experiences. So I'm always looking for opportunities to impact the game. And so that's what Tennicity is. It's, it's my tennis passion and experience, and done in an entrepreneurial way, and so I'm enjoying that blend of entrepreneurship, business, and tennis. And
so how does a program of Tennicity works?
So in Minnesota, we have programs at the grassroots level for youth. We introduce many youth to the game. We teach them the fundamentals. We start them on the development path. From there, we have intermediate, advanced level programs for those junior players who want to develop and compete. That's in the US. And then now in India, also trying to establish some camps, coming back, a little more high performance focus here. And we just did a camp in Mumbai, right? We had a group of junior high performance players, and so we're guiding them on the journey towards their goals.
So talking about the camp, which Sir said, he recently had a camp for 5 days from December 26th to December 30th. It was held in the campus of Mumbai University. There, I visited the facility myself. There were like 8 to 10 courts, tennis courts, and Sir had a tennis camp for children from the age group of 16, starting from the age group
9 to 16.
9 to 16, and he had the 5 days camp. So for 2 questions on that camp, what was your motivation to have that camp here in Mumbai, And secondly, what were your learnings? Even a coach learns as he trains a player. So what were your learnings from that 5 days camp?
Yeah. See, my motivation is simple. I'm a former Indian tennis player, and I want to help and play a role in the development of the game here. So any opportunity I get, any time I get, I love to come to India and help and provide a level of training, guidance that I feel players and parents, even coaches are looking for. So that's the motivation. And as far as my learning goes, I was very impressed with the level of dedication, commitment that the players and families have here. They are fully committed to the game, and that's what you want, right? So that was very impressive. And now it's just a question of exposing them, helping them, enhancing their training, enhancing their plan, giving them insights and guidance on international tennis that can help them to think about what they need to do to move forward.
So any particular attendee of the camp that caught your attention?
No, there are several. We had 11 players in this first camp, and there are several. I mean, all of them are high potential. Because as I think of what are the ingredients, when you say high potential, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And to me, it means, do you have joy for the game? And yes, every player that came really enjoys tennis. Now, excuse me, if they have joy for tennis, they're going to be willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
Right? So that's important. Are you going to be willing to put in the work? And all of the players are working hard, and clearly they demonstrated that they're willing to work hard. And then yes, they all are, like I said, fully committed, and they have big aspirations, big goals in the game. So there's a number of players who stand out, and I look forward to working with them more, because we're planning more camps now, on a periodic basis.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to developing a relationship with them that's hopefully long term, and then that will become more clear. And I would actually, as the players are standing out, and we have, those who need help, I'd love to have more support in terms of being able to help the players with what they need, whether that's sponsorship, whether that's equipment, whether if they need to come and travel abroad and get some exposure abroad. So looking to develop some partnerships with companies in India, with individuals in India who would like to help with the growth of tennis.
So which of the two roles are you enjoying more? You have already finished your professional career, but your role as a tennis player or your role as a coach? I understand these are two vastly different things to do in a sporting career, but which of the two roles have you enjoyed so far?
No, they're all different stages of life.
Yeah.
When I was a player, I enjoyed that. I gave my very best to that part of my life. Now I'm at a different stage of my life. I'm excited about the experiences I can share, the impact that I can make. When you're a player, the focus is more on yourself, right? But now at this stage in my life, I can impact a lot of people. And that's a beautiful thing. So I'm enjoying being able to, have a camp where a group of players and parents come and join, and then you can give them that broader impact, right? And I feel like that association of people with us will only grow over time. So I'm quite excited about the broader impact that I can make in this role.
Okay. So tennis was, of course, a major part of that camp, but there was something beyond tennis as well, because there was also a strength and conditioning part, and that strength and conditioning part was taken care by Gaurav Nijhawan. I've also interviewed Mr. Gaurav Nijhawan. You can check that interview out. I will pin that interview in the video. So check that video out. Gaurav Nijhawan. For those who don't know who Mr. Nijhawan is, he's one of India's finest strength and conditioning coaches, and he has trained and coached some of India's finest talents across multiple sports. He has trained tennis players, badminton players, wrestlers. So, and Gaurav was gracious enough to collaborate with Harsh sir for that coaching camp that he had for tennis. So my question being, what role does strength and conditioning plays in development of a young tennis player?
Huge. Strength and conditioning nowadays in any sport has become such a big part of it. And tennis is a physical sport, right? And particularly as you play higher levels, as you play, in juniors, for example, as they get older, the power element, the speed element, endurance, all of those come in and they can be deciding factors in a match. So that's something we focus on from a young age. And I'm very happy that Gaurav joined the camp. He's one of India's top fitness trainers. And to have him as part of our camp creates a lot of value. And the players gained a lot from that association, from training with him. And there's a lot of opportunities for the players now to continue to work with Gaurav, who's based in Pune. But our players can really work with him. And we will continue this impact through the camps that we have to really enhance their physical fitness, which will only help their tennis.
Okay. So moving on to something which is more contemporary, which is more, if I may use the buzzword, which is more in trend. I see there's a paddle court over here. If my camera person could focus the camera, there's a paddle court, and there's of course an emerging sport, pickleball. Paddle and pickleball are lot in trend. I see a lot of tournaments happening. There are a lot of people who are getting involved. There's a lot of money that is also being pumped in to develop courts for paddle and pickleball. And when I talk to purists in tennis, they fear that someday paddle and pickleball might overtake tennis in terms of popularity. And I see that as a T20 versus Test cricket debate. So I want to have your opinion on this debate of evolving sports of paddle and pickleball versus tennis. Is there a genuine fear among tennis purists that tennis will be left behind and people will only keep on playing pickleball and sport like paddle? And why there's so much buzz around, hype around these sports? And is the same buzz also in US, because you live in US?
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of interest and participation growth in pickleball and paddle. And pickleball is very accessible, right? Anyone can start. It's, you can pick up the paddle, you can play. It's a smaller area. So it's more accessible to people of all ages. And people across different ages too can play. So it's got a lot of popularity. It's growing. Even the professional side of pickleball is growing. There are many tennis players who are playing now. So there's definitely that's driving the growth of the sport. Ultimately participation and interest. And as far as tennis goes, I feel in tennis, we have to keep working harder to promote our game, right? To grow participation, to make it accessible, to get people playing, to get people interested in the game. So tennis has work to do. And so separate from pickleball, paddle, other sports, tennis has to focus on its strengths and keep growing the game. And it's going to take a collective effort to keep growing tennis. But I think tennis is a wonderful sport. I enjoy it. It's a lifelong sport. Many people enjoy it. There are so many things you learn from the sport. Keeps you physically fit, mentally it challenges you, emotionally it challenges. So many things to gain from it. And we have some great events too: Wimbledon, US Open, Grand Slams, Davis Cup. There's so many amazing events as well as at the top level that will always be attractive and get people's attention. So it's great that there are other sports that are growing, and tennis, I feel like, just needs to learn from what's happening there. What are the best practices or things that we can take, and then focus on our own sport and see what can be done to keep growing tennis.
So is there the same level of craze for pickleball and paddle in US?
Yeah, it's growing.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, everyone's playing. People are interested. There's definitely a lot of growth at all levels in pickleball. Pickleball also, paddle is growing.
Yeah.
So yeah, all over the world, there's been a big change.
Have you tried either of the two sports? Have you ever played?
Yeah, I've tried. I've played pickleball. It's very similar to tennis in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's the same skills.
Yeah.
So that's why you see so many tennis players make the transition so easily.
Yeah.
And they're already playing at the top level.
I guess last year Agassi tried his hand in playing
Yeah,
pickleball.
he's promoting the
He's
game.
promoting the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, many former tennis players who can't actively play tennis, older tennis players who can't play tennis at that high level, they gradually move to pickleball or
I had
paddle.
one of my neighbors challenge me actually to a
Okay.
pickleball game.
That's
And he said, well, you know, tennis is a different sport. It's not going to. So I
Okay.
said, okay. So then after a few months, we actually went out and played. And,
Okay.
and so it was a good
it was
experience.
a good experience. Okay, so you talked about, you mentioned about few tennis tournaments. You mentioned about Grand Slams. They are the most precious tennis events in a calendar year. There are obviously ATP events, WTA events. But for what I followed tennis in India, there are two tennis leagues that happened in India recently. One was Tennis Premier League, and there was World Tennis League that India hosted, and both were hosted in very short span of time. So in my observation, so my question to you is, how much are these tennis leagues? Yes, we need to have our tennis tournaments, but how much of these tennis leagues, which obviously they attracted some really big names from the world of tennis, some Indian legends are also associated with those two leagues, but how much of these tennis leagues are important for the development of young upcoming talent?
See, I think it's all part of the ecosystem. You know, they play a role. Leagues bring interest into the game. They attract, as you said, some top players to come to India to play. They can provide opportunities for young players to see the top players up close and personal. They can inspire young players to achieving that level of tennis. They can also provide current Indian players with income, which is important, right, to sustain them on the tour. So they play a role. And so do tournaments, so do the coaching camps. You know, everything plays a role in the ecosystem. And so it's good to see that ecosystem for tennis is taking shape. And I feel that will continue to grow over the next 5-10 years with the talent that's there here, with the dedication that I've seen, and the number of junior players and families that are into tennis and have this dream to go further. I think with all of that, you know, it would be great if that ecosystem comes together, creates a nice pathway for players to continue in the sport and to be able to make a living of the sport, to make it a career. You know, I think that's where tennis has to get to. Cricket is there. People can see a career in cricket. And in tennis too, they need to be able to see that, okay, if I'm a standout player, if I'm one of the top in the country, or I'm amongst that top cohort, that I can see myself being able to put a career together by playing in India and then playing internationally.
Okay, so in my understanding, we need to have heroes in sports for young people to pick up a sport. A classic example being Neeraj Chopra. Ever since he has achieved a gold at the Olympics, there's a tremendous growth of javelin in India. There was a time when Indian tennis was producing legends on a fairly consistent basis. We had, when I was growing up, I had role models in tennis in form of Mahesh Bhupathi, Leander Paes. In women's, we had Sania Mirza. But unfortunately, now I am in my mid-30s. I don't see Indian tennis producing those iconic players. So what has happened in last few years that Indian tennis is failing to produce champion athletes that can motivate the next lot of players? What went wrong?
Yeah, so yes, we've had one or two players in tennis, right? We've had one or two. You mentioned 3 names in 45 years or 50 years, right? But we are a very big country and we have a number of tennis players who are playing in the junior circuit. So I think the first step is you need a system where players are breaking through. So you have to look at how many players are in the top 1000, right? And how many players are breaking into the top 500. From there, how many players are breaking into the top 250, and then from there, how many players are breaking into the top 100. And so when you have enough players in each of those buckets, then you get more and more players reaching the very top. But to have one that comes out of nowhere, maybe it happens once in a generation. Maybe it happens. There's one player who breaks out and makes it. But I think for the most part in tennis, if you look at the big picture and the system, we haven't had a cohort of players consistently at these different levels, then developing to the top level. So even now, if you look on the women's side, we don't have anybody in the top 300 in the world. Men also, we have one player in the top 300. So first step is, let's start getting those players breaking into that level. Let's have 5 or 10 players in the top 300. Then when you have 10 players in the top 300, then you can start, working on, okay, maybe possibly let's get 1 or 2 into the top 100. But when you don't have anybody in the top 300, or you have 1 or 2 players in the top 500, talking about top 50 level tennis and top 10 tennis is, it's not a realistic sort of pathway.
Very far-fetched.
I think people need to understand this in tennis. Like, let's first get, the basics. Let's first get the players at a certain level. That's where the focus needs to be. And from then there you can build further. And if you look at America, you look at Australia or Europe, certain countries, you'll see players at each level. Within the top 500, you'll see about 50 players. And when you have 50 players in the top 500, you'll get 10 players in the top 100.
Okay, so if given a chance, you had the reins in your hand to make changes in Indian tennis system, so that more and more India produces more and more champion players in the sport, what changes would you have made to have that pipeline of good players, quality players?
So I always talk about player development, and that's been the area that I have focused in. And I feel that good quality coaching programs at an international standard, that level of training for the players, that level of preparation for the players, I think that's what's needed to prepare them for higher and higher levels of tennis. And that, I think, is one gap that I see in the system. And what we're trying to do is enhance, right, through the camps. That's one initiative, is to try to really focus on the training and preparation piece, getting the players ready for higher levels of tennis. And then along with that, now there are more tournaments happening in India, which is a plus, right? So the players can get that opportunity to play right here in India. So all those pieces have to come together. More sponsorship into the system as well. The players who are performing well, who are at the higher levels, they'll need the sponsorship and help to cover the financials, because tennis is a very expensive sport. So I think more sponsorships as well, more partnerships need to be built.
So broadening the horizon, I see there's a lot of efforts from all the stakeholders in India, from the government side. Private players are also pumping in money. Government is pumping in money. Former players are also promoting multiple sports, and they are all coming together to make India a better sporting nation. You, of course, live in US, which is considered a country which is considered to be a really great sporting nation. If you talk about multi-sporting events like Olympics, US always tops the medal tally in Olympics. So, in your understanding, what can be done to make India a better sporting country? Where are we lacking, and what can be done to make India a better sporting?
Yeah, that's a big question. So I think that infrastructure, as there's more infrastructure, that's important. Accessible. I talked about accessibility to sports, trying to really think about how you can involve more parts of society into sports, where sports is not just for the elite, but you're creating access to many starters or all parts of society to be able to play sports, right? So the more children that you have involved in sports, I think that's good. And in the US, they do a really good job at that. A lot of the initial sports are offered through the city parks and rec, through public organizations. So many children get their first introduction in sports through public facilities. So the more India can develop public facilities, um, create accessibility for the masses. Those things will only help with, developing the sports system. And from there, as we're talking about developing to international levels, I think focusing a lot on the training, trying to get higher and higher levels of training, guidance, support. Players need support. If you just leave them to themselves, there's very little they can do, right? Particularly in a sport like tennis. So you need to support them at every stage in the journey.
One young upcoming Indian tennis player that has really caught your attention, that you're really excited about?
I don't want to get into just giving one name.
Okay.
In a country of, as big as India is, we have to think more on the system. We need a pipeline of players coming through because everybody has potential. At the age of 14 and 15, everybody has the potential. The role of the system is to support everyone, not to identify, oh, you or you. It's to support everyone, let their talent go where it needs to go, and then you'll see it emerging. So yes, there are one or two who are standing out, but I really have to, I think the whole system is there. There are lots of players who are trying. They all need the support and guidance. And when that happens, I'm quite confident that, India, like other countries, will see players breaking through to higher and higher levels.
Okay. So to wrap up this interview, as you all know, I have a very fun segment called Rapid Fire. I know you have been very quick on your feet during your playing days. You are still quick on your feet while coaching, but for this segment of Rapid Fire, you have to just give me the answer that comes in top of you have to be quick on your feet, pun intended, and you have to give me the answer that comes straight in your head. There are some really fun questions. So first, one match of your career whose result you wish to change.
Andy Roddick.
Oh, okay. One match from the past you wish to revisit. You could have watched it on television. You could have watched it at the courts, but you would want to revisit now.
My match against Andy Murray, where I had 7 match points.
Ah, okay. Worst travel experience.
Worst travel experience.
Yeah.
This is I'll have to think.
Yeah, you can take your time. Yes.
No, I mean they're all good. It's tough is good in one way. You go through it.
Yeah.
So
they also make you learn.
Everything is you learn from every situation. So that's how I see it.
Did you have any pre-game superstition? I have seen Rafael Nadal during his playing days when he used to go to when he used to take the courts. He used to arrange his bottles very systematically, and he has confessed that was part of his superstition. Many tennis players, they wear bandanas. They like to wear their bandanas in a certain way, so that it helps them to keep them motivated or focused. So, did you have any superstition during your playing days?
No, but when I won the NCAA title in Dallas, we parked in the same spot every day.
Sorry?
We parked the car in the same spot every day.
Okay. One myth about tennis that you would urgently want to break.
One myth.
Yeah.
That it's a difficult sport. I think if it's taught well, it's actually quite easy to pick up.
Okay. Grass, clay, or hard courts?
For me, hard and grass.
Hard and grass.
Yeah, I like faster surfaces.
Okay. One quirky habit of yours that not many know about.
I don't know. I'll have to think of this one. Quirky, I don't know. I'm quite a normal guy.
Okay. And finally, Rafael Nadal or Roger Federer?
I liked Rafa for his just his humility. Very gracious, in defeat and in victory. And Roger is just class, just makes it look so easy and just class on and off the court. So different personalities, but you
have played safe, but I wanted one of the two, but he has played safe. Okay, finally, to wrap up this interview, if we had to send out a message, a word of advice, few words of motivation or inspiration to young upcoming players, be it in tennis or any other sport, what would your word of advice be?
Yeah, my word of advice is, along with working hard, have a good plan. Think about your goals over the next 1 year, and have a good plan. Sit down and think about your training, your tournaments, the people that you're working with, and create a good plan for your development, and assess that periodically. So I think that's a great way to develop your tennis career.
Thank you, sir. You have been gracious enough to spare your time for this interview. That was my short interaction with Mr. Harsh Mankad, former Indian tennis player who has played Grand Slams. He has been part of Indian Davis Cup teams, comes from a solid sporting family. So no better person to talk on sports, on multiple sports than Mr. Harsh Mankad. And I always wanted to feature a tennis player, discuss tennis on my podcast. So, and I did that through talking to Mr. Harsh Mankad. How did you find this interview? Please do let me know in the comment section below. Please like the video. Please follow Mr. Harsh Mankad on his Instagram channel. He's not quite active, but is promoting now. He's trying hard to promote tennis through his Instagram channel, through his LinkedIn profile. So please follow him as well. Follow me on my Instagram channel. In my Instagram channel, my Instagram handle will be flashing somewhere on the screen. And before I end this video, I have one final request from sir, that I would want him to kindly give his autograph and leave a small message for me in my autograph notebook.
Sure. I'm going to say keep promoting sports.
That's very important. In my understanding, a country that plays a lot of sports is generally a really progressive country, a really healthy country.
There you go.
So, yeah, the message is keep promoting sports, that I will keep on doing through my channel. And I've got
Amazing.
The autograph of Mr. Harsh Mankad. Thank you so much. And please do let people know about Prakhar Talks Sports. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.